They say power corrupts, but sometimes it literally kills. The power died at exactly 2:47 p.m. No storm, no warning. Just me, an ICU-grade ventilator, and a blinking red alarm that meant I had 10 minutes to live. I thought it was a glitch until I saw her. Karen, HOA president, wire cutters in hand, smiling like she just saved the world. "You've had warnings," she said, "that generator's an eyesore." She didn't care that it kept me alive. But what she didn't know is that I had a backup plan that weighs.
HOA Karen cut power to my ICU machine, so I rolled in a 40-ton generator truck in revenge. How far would someone go to feel in control? Far enough to nearly kill a man over lawn code violations? It was a Saturday, clear skies, nothing out of place except the hum of my backup oxygen concentrator barely keeping me breathing. A Mason Harlow, 58, Navy veteran and two-time cancer survivor. I have a heart condition so rare it requires ICU-grade ventilation equipment to run at home 24/7. Keeps me alive. Without it, I've got 10 minutes, maybe less, which is why when the power flickered once, then died entirely, I knew something was wrong. Not a storm, no city alert, just silence, except for the frantic beep of my low battery alarm. I rolled to the garage and flipped the breaker box. It was untouched. Checked the street.
Neighbors still had porch lights glowing. And that's when I saw her, Karen Feeney, president of our HOA, wearing gardening gloves and a smug smile, standing next to the neighborhood utility panel. She was coiling up a set of wire cutters like she'd just finished pruning roses. I didn't want to believe it, but then she said it. "Consider it a lesson in compliance," she called out across the street. "You've had warning after warning. That generator is an eyesore. HOA rules clearly state no visible equipment." "That's a life support system, Karen," I shouted back, struggling to keep my breath even. She didn't flinch. "If it's that important, maybe you should live somewhere better suited to your condition." My heart pounded so hard, I thought I might black out, but I didn't. I grabbed my phone and called the cops. My phone called up my emergency backup plan, Victor Cho, my former combat medic and now co-founder of our veteran disaster response nonprofit. I gave him one word: deploy. 3 hours later, she got her answer. A 40-ton generator truck, diesel-fed, FEMA certified, pulled into my driveway with hazard lights flashing like a Hollywood premiere. Victor climbed down, saluted me, then uncoiled enough industrial cable to power a school. Karen's face dropped from smug to ghostly. "That's a noise violation," she shrieked. "You can't bring commercial machinery into a residential zone." Victor turned slowly. "You cut power to a medical ICU unit. That's attempted manslaughter." "Prove it," she snapped. So I did. Turns out my security cameras caught the whole thing. Her bolt cutters, her grin, her flipping the subbreaker and pulling the wire for the generator's outdoor unit. We didn't just report it. We handed the footage straight to the sheriff's office. Here's the twist. Karen wasn't just acting as an overzealous HOA president. She'd been using HOA funds, dues from elderly neighbors, to pay for private security cameras targeting people she didn't like. I found invoices buried in the monthly reports. No one ever read. She was trying to force me out, claiming I lowered property morale. But her mistake, targeting someone who had already faced death twice. I didn't back down. By Monday morning, the county issued a protective order against Karen. By Wednesday, she was served with felony charges for tampering with life support infrastructure. And by Friday, the HOA board held an emergency vote. Unanimous. Karen was removed. But it didn't end there. Local news picked it up. Veterans power cut by HOA fights back with 40-ton justice. The headline trended for days. Donations flooded into our nonprofit. 3 other residents came forward with similar harassment claims. The HOA board resigned in shame. Karen sold her house under pressure. She left in silence. The bolt cutters were never found. Me, I kept the generator. still sits in my yard right where she hated it. But now, it's wrapped in an American flag, bolted to the ground, and renamed Karen Repellent Unit 1. So tell me, was I wrong to roll in with power? Or was that exactly what it took to remind people survival isn't a privilege, it's a right? Let's talk about where the line really is.
The bolt cutters were never found, but Karen, she vanished, legally and publicly. Felony charges, protective order, board removed, and a neighborhood that finally opened its eyes. The generator still hums in my yard today, but it's not just backup power anymore. It's a monument, wrapped in an American flag, bolted to the ground, and proudly renamed Karen Repellent Unit 1. Because in this country, survival isn't a privilege, it's a right. And if someone wants to test that, let them face 40 tons of justice and a man who's already faced death twice. Now you tell me, was I wrong to roll in with power? Or was that exactly what it took to remind people like Karen, you don't mess with a veteran's breath? The bolt cutters were never found, but Karen, she vanished, legally and publicly. Felony charges, protective order, board removed, and a neighborhood that finally opened its eyes. The generator still hums in my yard today, but it's not just backup power anymore. It's a monument, wrapped in an American flag, bolted to the ground, and proudly renamed Karen Repellent Unit 1. Because in this country, survival isn't a privilege, it's a right. And if someone wants to test that, let them face 40 tons of justice and a man who's already faced death twice. Now you tell me, was I wrong to roll in with power? Or was that exactly what it took to remind people like Karen, you don't mess with a veteran's breath?